Viceroy initiative and a great advocate for students. And he has always said yes when we asked him to give our keynote at our annual Viceroy CySER Summer Workshop, this one being the 5th. In all of these times, he has got a busy schedule, and I'm so grateful that he has taken time from his busy schedule to address us today. Before he gets into his presentation, I would like to play a video, and I would like you to follow that along closely. And once that is finished, Mr. Meshag will start with his presentation. Mr. Meshag, thank you very much for joining us, and let me play the video now.
Wonderful. Thank you for having me.
Battlefield of the future is going to be dominated by cyber spectrum and non-kinetic activity before any kinetic activity is done. If we don't win that part, then we can't communicate. And then we can't fight.
That threat isn't sitting still. It is evolving hourly. We're seeing that on the battlefields in Ukraine and other areas of conflict across the globe.
Congress recognized in 2019 the need to fill these critical workforce gaps, which were amounting to about 20,000 in the department and perhaps even 100,000 or more in the industrial base.
We need these expertise. We need this new talent. And oh, by the way, the technology is changing at a rapid pace.
Without these experts, our ability to command, control, communicate, and innovate is at risk, and we don't want to get behind our adversaries in this domain.
If you graduated this year and you're off of this technology improvement for a year, you're already behind.
We can't just put people in a seat and say, learn. We have to transfer that into capability and accelerate it.
The research is easy. Technology is simple. The laws of physics don't change. The hardest part is the people. People are so unpredictable. They're indeterministic is what we call them, right? There's no equation you can write to it. They're unpredictable. They have things that come up. You know, we have families, we mature, we change our worldviews. I mean, there's so many things. How do you find those right people to work on the right projects? Well, every time we put out a job application out there or something like that, we have like 250, 300 applicants. How do you find that needle in the hay?
Without Viceroy bringing in the best in academia to work on these very hard problems, it would just take longer for us to solve them, or they wouldn't get solved at all.
There's been sponsorship by the big three automakers into this program. They approached Viceroy with a unique value proposition by building a program that would help accelerate and expand the talent there for cybersecurity. What we really want is a partnership with industry where everybody wins, where everybody gets the talent they need. It's a joint collaboration to build a bigger program.
Programs like Viceroy are critical from taking the knowledge and putting it on the battlefield. It shortens that train up time. Students come out of the program like Viceroy, they spend less time learning what they need to do immediately on the job, and they go to the fight much quicker. Talent's everywhere. People say, well, we don't have the talent. We absolutely have the talent, but talent has to be turned into readiness. And that's the Viceroy program.
I went to school for engineering. I knew it was a great degree to be in, but I couldn't picture myself working the role. What Viceroy does is it provides experiential learning opportunities through projects, through research, co-curricular activities such as competitions to bring to light what the students will really be doing in the workplace and how they can make a difference and have a meaningful career, which is what so many students nowadays, when they talk to me, tell me what they're looking for.
These Viceroy scholars are not traditional interns doing admin work. They arrive from top universities with strong skill sets, and they apply those skills to real-world problem sets from day one. Through a partnership between our chief data office, our chief scientist, and our scholars, they built a real-world operational capability. They built a standalone AI assistant that runs on a laptop completely offline, allowing our operational warfighters to have access to the information they need without having to be connected. This proves that Viceroy prepares talented students for high-impact roles by having them perform in one.
Viceroy is what is going to be the leading future. It is preparing the next generation of cybersecurity professionals. It's fostering students into the DoD, into the military, into our everyday life where that we can continue to protect and serve. Viceroy has supported me in a challenge I overcame just by being a leader. When I came to college, I was shy, I was very introverted, and then Viceroy became an opportunity for me to really get my voice out there, to talk more, to lead more, to engage more with fellow students. And now I am serving, I am leading our local cohort of 80 members.
Viceroy gives you very good opportunities for research, for internship and job opportunities by connecting you with prospective employers and then giving you practice. For example, I just competed in one of our cyber competitions, and that was really helpful. It gives us a kind of another layer of our education that, we can't really just get sticking in the confines of our classroom.
The biggest concrete skill that I have gained is the soft skill of being able to convey really high technical important information to somebody who might not be able to understand that. That's something that a lot of people, especially those coming out of college, don't really know how to do.
The Viceroy program is a great opportunity for students to enter into the cyber workforce. It's an opportunity for employers to know that the people they're hiring have the skills to succeed. And it's going to be the key to making sure we have strong national security on that front.
These are students across the nation at universities and colleges that are majoring in cybersecurity, electromagnetic spectrum, and they're doing this because they want to impact, they want to make a difference in our communities and with our nation's security.
Before the internships, Maven and Envoy internships, when I ask students if they're interested in a job in national defense and security, they said that maybe yes. But after these internships, when I ask, yes, I want to serve the nation, I see the importance and I want to do it.
Viceroy needs to continue because it's the future of the workforce of the Army Research Lab. You can see what people are passionate about. You can see who they are, what they do. It's such an amazing way for us to really try things out with a potential candidate before we actually make it off.
I think Viceroy can help develop students and professionals that are able to push us further than these other countries and keep us ahead.
Unequivocally, let me state that the Viceroy program and this model is something that we need to preserve and to scale for many years to come. It's very important for us to not only sustain our technical advantage here at Air Combat Command, we have that sword, and in order to sharpen that sword and keep it sharpened, it takes the talent and pipeline that comes from the Viceroy program to keep us very sharpened, as well as also avoid technical surprise from those that threaten our freedom.
In an ideal world, I think you will see Viceroy students start in the Viceroy program and move on to become career civil servants or uniformed military personnel, or possibly even start their own companies to support the defense industrial base.
If you want to invest in readiness, this is where you put your money. If you want to build this bench and you want to see these people quickly move from, hey, put me in, coach, to making plays, invest here.
To answer the call through Viceroy to me means a lifelong devotion to our country and our American values through continually honing your expertise in cybersecurity and spectrum capabilities with excellence, leadership, integrity, technical expertise, and continual engagement and curiosity to self-improvement.
My name is James.
My name is Brianna.
My name is Tyler. My name is Jason.
My name is Ava.
My name is Ethan, and we are ready to apply science in service of our nation.
All right, Mr. Meshach, the video is over. The floor is yours. Thank you for joining.
Well, thank you very much. So I don't look all fancy here today. Probably look more like a student going to school and learning things. So I am actually on a boat delivering a vessel between Connecticut and upstate New York today. So I want to say thank you all for accommodating me here. Okay, great. We got our slides up here, so you can see that now. Wonderful. So I just want to say thank you, Dr. Gabramedan. I really appreciate everything you've been doing with the program and those that have come before you, which I believe I see sitting next to you at the table, and all of those behind you, the mentors, the faculty at Washington State University that have helped make this program a national success. So thank you. And of course, to our students here who are here at the workshop this week, this is an important step for you. It's an important step for getting a better understanding of your career field, the technical needs and requirements, the challenges, how what you're learning makes a difference, can make a difference in your career, but also in national security. How can it affect national security in a very positive way? So this is really what we're trying to do with Viceroy, is helping our students understand what the value is of the education they're getting, using experiential learning and other types of co-curricular activities to help connect the studies with meaningful things that make us all feel good about why we're pursuing the careers we are and how we can help enhance the security of our lives every day. So that's what we're trying to do. And just want to say thank you all for being here and taking an interest, a very positive step in your career. So with that, I think those are the preliminaries. My talk is called Answering the Call, Your Role in the Cyber Spectrum Fight. And thank you for having me keynote here with you today. If we could move on to the next slide. This is a little bit about me. It sounds kind of impressive, you know, sometimes, right? Like, gosh, this guy works at the Pentagon, right? He does all this stuff, millions and billions of dollars, even the Dr. Evil way, right? For those of you who remember Austin Powers, right? Billions. So this is what we do, right? And also concurrently with that, 20 years as an educator. So I've been probably working for about 38 years now professionally. But you know what? I started out a lot like you, right? Small town, farm town, actually, right? It was for a computer that was sitting in the back of the room, a Commodore PET computer that I got interested in computers, and we started writing programs on them. Some of them good, some of them maybe we taunted our classmates just a little bit, you know, kids do those kind of things, right? But it was the challenges, it was the excitement of being able to do something cool with it that got us to start learning more, taking more initiative to learn how to program certain things different ways. And that's kind of what set me on my journey to eventually, even though I'm an electrical engineer, to set me down the journey of cybersecurity and computer science. And for those of you, by the way, and I don't know, I know that some of you have different majors here in the workshop. For those of you who are engineers, I'm going to tell you that's an amazing combination, right? Understanding electronics, RF, radio frequency transmissions, and things like that. Part and parcel, honestly, to how cyber works nowadays, cyber operations, because we don't get anywhere without electromagnetic spectrum. So I start out just like you, and before you know, if you're doing things that excite you, guess what? You're going to go someplace great, really, and it's just wherever your heart leads you. So if you get nothing from me here today, inspirational in this talk, what I want you to know is you're going to do great at whatever you're excited about doing. What we're hoping here today and during this week and in your pursuit of Viceroy is to help give you an experience, an appreciation for what you could be doing in your career and giving you the tools to pursue them. From there, it'll be up to you. Let's go to the next chart. Let me tell you a little bit about what I do, right? So that's where I work up there in the right-hand corner. I took that photo out of a plane 3 years ago, right? So I work in that building, right? And I work for the Undersecretary of War for Research and Engineering. Think of it like in the company, it's the Chief Technology Officer of the department. So we're responsible for three things. It's technology and innovation. So that is developing technology, having laboratories, and having people. Policy and supervision is another one of them. How do we protect our technologies? And then third, how do we do these things at a time-relevant fashion? So doing these things faster and delivering them at the speed of need. If you think DevOps for software, how do we do that for all these different technologies, right? So those are the goals of our Undersecretary in his tenure so far, about 18 months or so. So he set some priorities in terms of critical technology areas. You see them listed here on the screen. There's only 6, and you're like, well, wait a minute, there's only 6. Aren't there so many other things? I don't even see cyber on here. But it's buried within quantum and battlefield information dominance. When I say buried, it's not necessarily that it's not important. It's that it's most important integrated with other things, such as RF spectrum, sensing, AI, quantum mechanics, such as quantum sensing, quantum communications, quantum computing. So there's a lot of different things in there. The last thing I'll say is alternate precision navigation and timing. So all those kind of things are bundled together in there. And it's important that we think about how these things come together in new and unique ways to help give us a totally game-changing disruptive capability. If you can't think of something like that, it's tough to imagine, right? I don't know what it would be for the Department of Defense, but I know what it is for people, right? And we take this phone here. I don't know if you can see it with this funky screen behind me, right? In fact, I don't know if you can see the screen at all. It looks like you're seeing my slides. That's okay. So think about that iPhone or that Android phone, right? It's got computing, it's got cybersecurity, it's got sensing, it's got radio frequency navigation and precision navigation in there, RF transmissions. It's got all these things, and it created an innovative platform that totally changed the way that we can now engage the world. So now that we can just have a stranger show up at our door, and we can get in the car with that person, they'll take us someplace. They can trust that we're not crazy, generally speaking. They can trust that we're going to pay them. We know we can trust that based on their ratings that they're trustworthy, and you know they're going to go where we want them to go, and we can track them. And it's amazing, right? So how do we develop these kind of capabilities for the department in terms of, like, say, Homeland Security, right? Or making sure that we are posturing ourselves to be deterring China in certain areas of the world. So that's kind of what we do. Why don't we go on to the next chart, please? So the area that I told you that cyber falls under is this thing called quantum and battlefield information dominance. So one thing I neglected to tell you was this whole information dominance thing. And it's really about decision making. How can I make decisions? How can I sense the world, understand it, or have sense making and understanding, and then do something about it quicker than the adversary? So this is important in command and control theory. And a very famous person by the Air Force came up with something called the OODA loop. His name was Colonel Boyd, B-O-Y-D. And he said, if you're in a dogfight, you can see where the adversary is flying around, and you can figure out what they're going to do next, and you can cut them off on that quicker than they can react, you're going to win that dogfight. And so how we position ourselves and how we compete in the world with almost everything, economics, military conflict, even diplomacy. The better information that we get, the better we can sense it, more the decisions that we can make from it, good decisions to choose from and execute them. It'll give us the ability to presumably dominate in that situation. So this is what we're doing in Qubit. I'm not going to go into details about it, except just to say it's not necessarily about any of those technologies we talked about in its own silo. It's about how do we bring these things together for a competitive advantage. And it all starts with research and design, how we manufacture new chips. They may not be digital, they may not be analog, they might be some sort of hybrid. We might be using photo integrated circuits. There's so many things that are just possibilities in how we bring these things together so that we have better fidelity, better sensing, higher speed, lower cost, lower size, weight, and power. This is what we are doing in quantum and battlefield information dominance. Why don't we go to the next chart, please? So this is maybe another way of looking at it. So for those of you who are not near a screen in the room, right, you can see these over here on the right-hand side, these different, how should we put it, theaters of or operational areas such as space, air, land, maritime, operational domains. And each one of these is enabled by cyberspace. Each one of them exists in an electromagnetic environment. Each one of them also exchanges information that interacts with a human, and ultimately, humans are the targets of any sort of conflict or peace. It's how we can influence humans to work with us, be diplomatic with us, how we deter them. And ideally, this is the area of space that we would like to be in more than in an area of conflict. We always would like to be in a situation where we have better understanding of our intentions and better shaping in how we message that to the world. And where possible, better ways of deterring others from taking action against our interests. Today, we are a primarily kinetic force that's supported by information operations and cyber. Perhaps by 2030, just a short 4 years from now, that could be the other way around. And we've been seeing that, for example, in Venezuela, some hints of that. We've been seeing that also perhaps in Iran, what we're hearing in the news. Because this area moves very quickly, like, for example, what we've been seeing in Ukraine, where it started out as a ground war, then went to electronic warfare war, a drone war, a fiber-enabled drone war, and now maybe even a directed energy war against drones. This is all in about 2.5 years. The stuff has moved. So now think about this, right? You have your educators, right? They're teaching them various subjects. It's kind of hard for them to explain how these subjects are going to be used in national security that's keeping pace with how quickly things are actually changing day to day and how disruptive that is. So is that your educator's fault? Heck no. But what we need to do with programs like Viceroy is to kind of build that bridge where students as yourself are getting more exposure to those operational domains, how they are moving quickly, and how the studies that you are engaged in and the research projects can help shape and influence capabilities moving forward. Also, by getting involved in understanding how those technologies would influence national security, and by understanding the national security context, when you get your first internship or your first full-time job with the department or our defense industrial base, you will have a better understanding of what success looks like. You'll understand how this capability works in that mission environment, and you'll know what good enough is. I remember in my first internship when I was 20 years old, maybe 19, I can't remember, maybe about 20. I remember working on an antenna element all summer on a graphics terminal, prototyping it for a modeling simulation run. I had no idea what the element did. I had no idea what kind of platform it might have been on, an airplane, a radar, I don't know. I think about how much more excited I could have been if I knew what I was, the contribution I was making towards where that was going. So that's what we're trying to do here with Viceroy in the internship program. So, and that's what we're talking about here in the lower corner. All right, why don't we go on the next chart? Thank you. So cyber is a complicated place. All of you know that. It's contested. It's a software-defined everything. It's all held in common, right? Everything's connected to everything else. So it's a hard thing to defend. It's tough to determine what is the military part of cyberspace, what is the national security part of cyberspace, what is the domestic, everyday kind of part of cyberspace, like where my phones are, where my cars operate, and that kind of thing, and my home security system. Now think about AI and how that has changed. It's making it's tearing down the walls really about and how we understand 0 days and how we can find them and how adversaries can implement attacks against these things. For those of you who are familiar with Anthropic's Glasswing, right? So that was a disruptive event, and we should expect to find a lot more of these where we have a heavily deployed IT infrastructure across the world where any of it could be potentially uprooted at any given time through the use of AI. And AI has been helping us with regards to understanding complexity, and even the relationship between the cyber capabilities and their kinetic impact on like critical infrastructure, right? So where we used to take a lot of human thinking and we could develop plans and we'd have a plan put together, and then as soon as somebody changed an IT component, everything, the plan went out the window. Not so much anymore with AI. We can, the plans can track very closely as things change. In fact, if you want to know how closely AI and adversary capabilities track how our defense infrastructure changes, the DISA, the General of the Defense Information Systems Agency, Lieutenant General Stanton, 2 months ago, talked about a new network that he put on his, on the DoD network. And he expected that it probably would take, I don't know, a few minutes for it to be detected because through automation of our adversaries' techniques. Turns out it was found in 0.8 seconds, and it was already being engaged. So this is what AI is doing. So if you're thinking about, hey, should I be learning more about AI? Oh yeah, definitely. Should I be learning about topics hand in hand with AI? Absolutely. Should you be using AI as a tool to helping you understand cyber and EW foundations? Probably. You should probably start out learning foundationally and then using it maybe in your 3rd and 4th years more for planning, sense making, and command and control of your capabilities. Don't start out with it doing everything for you in the first year, because understanding the fundamentals and being able to be critical of AI when it has various types of hallucinations, you know, you're the one who's going to be the best suited to understand it if you got a good foundation. All right, let's keep going. Next chart. So operationally, AI is very helpful. But the thing is, a lot of times we're actually delivered capabilities that already have problems in them because of supply chains. We don't know how those impact our deployed system. So let's just think about up here what we see above the surface on this iceberg. This is where we see, you know, through intrusion detection systems and things like that, different types of attacks on our infrastructure. What we don't really understand is how our infrastructure was built, how it was sourced, either through primary or second or third tier suppliers. There could be counterfeit components. There could be firmware and backdoors already put into the system, into these components. There could be design and intellectual property and designs compromised. So although the system was delivered as designed, somebody else, maybe an adversary, already had a head start on analyzing it for vulnerabilities. So these are some things that we need to be considering all the time: is where do we get our software? Where do we get our hardware? Where do we get our people from? Are they trustworthy? Is everything that we're building the system with is trustworthy? How can we be using other capabilities such as formal methods to help design some parts of it to be provably secure? Let's go to the next chart. Since we're talking about supply chains, let's talk about where do our batteries and our microelectronics come from. Over here on the left-hand side, we can see back in 1990, a significant percent of microelectronics came from Europe, the United States, and Japan. Look at what has happened over time, though. Now 25% is predicted to be coming from mainland China by 2030, 21% from Taiwan, from the US, 8 from Europe. Think about this, though, right? The US, 10%. What happens if China takes over Taiwan? Wow. Now you've got 45% of the microelectronics capability in the world controlled by China. So, you know, maybe this isn't necessarily always just about doing the, you know, democratic right thing, so to speak, by protecting democracy around the world. Maybe there's some other things at play sometimes about why we make decisions in our national interest. And sometimes that's because depending on who's making most of the capability, who makes those capabilities then can command the supply chain as well as the standards. And if you can command the standards, well, then you already know what the vulnerabilities are potentially in your systems too, or you can design in vulnerabilities that only you have designed out of them. So pretty scary stuff. Let's talk about lithium-ion batteries over here on the other side. Doesn't really matter. I'm going to say this right now. Doesn't matter where you stand on green energy. If you care about supply chain dominance, you really should think about whether the U.S. needs to have the ability to generate or build batteries and things like that, either for our automobiles or for storing energy from our local utilities and electrical transmission companies. You can see pretty much the story right here. 80% of the world's total comes from China right now in terms of lithium-ion manufacturing capability. And unfortunately, this is something you can't just change in a day, something you can't change in a year. It takes about 10 years to find cobalt and refine it in such a way that you can actually have producible batteries at scale. So as they say, the best time to plant a tree was 30 or 40 years ago. The best time to start looking at our dependency on foreign supply chains is now. If you couldn't go back 30 years, now's the time to really start thinking about it and doing something about that. Next chart, please. Let's talk about supply chains in a very direct way. Right here is a heat map. You see in gray the countries, the continents of the world. You see on the oceans, you see lines crossing back and forth showing where shipping lanes are commonly transited. If you take a look, there's a lot of red over by the Strait of Hormuz and a lot over by Taiwan. In fact, 50% of the world's cargo passes through the Taiwan Strait. So, you know, sometimes when you hear about how the U.S. wants to do a freedom of navigation experiment and our demonstration, why it wants to do that is because it wants to demonstrate that it has the ability to ensure that the goods and services that we need actually that we can assure and secure those things. And we all know what's going on right now in the Strait of Hormuz. 20% of the world's oil is transiting through that too. So right now, there are world events that are causing strains in the Strait of Hormuz. There have been political strains causing issues through Taiwan also. But what if it was a technical issue? What if somebody was able to disrupt ports? What if our adversaries were able to disrupt some ports? Think about what happened in Baltimore with the Key Bridge collapsing 2 years ago and how that impacted all sorts of imports and exports out of Baltimore. Well, what if that was a cyber attack? And what if that was a cyber attack on all common cranes and things like that that could offload and unload ships? Wow, I mean, that could be a very serious problem because some goods and services in only 7 days we run out of those stocks. So this is why we want to understand supply chains better, why it's critical, and the relationship between cyber capabilities in helping to ensure those supply chains in as many ways as possible, but also the fragility that cyber affords us or could hold us susceptible. Next chart, please. Cars, no different. That thing you see up in the left-hand corner, the thing that looks like some sort of local area network, it's actually a CAN bus. On a lot of vehicles, you can possibly have anywhere from 80 to 100 electronic control units that may be producing about a gigabyte of data per hour. Isn't that amazing? A gigabyte of data per hour. Ever since 2018, a lot of these vehicles send telemetry back to their manufacturers. And so although it's heavily anonymized, it's been shown that just even in a month's period of time, a week's period of time, we can kind of predict where you're going to go the next day, and we kind of know who you are. Not we, meaning me, but just other organizations that analyze this stuff. So it's more of a demonstration to say we need to have better security on our vehicles. And for those of you who think that national security is something that's distant from you, or hey, if you shut off your phone, you're all good, there's lots of other things that are telling stories about you. And what if these cars were not built in the US and they were sending their data overseas? Now, would that be a national security issue? So sometimes maybe when we put up a big fuss about foreign manufacturers dominating our markets, maybe it's not all about just jobs, but it could be about national security. We could have rolling, foreign intelligence assets that we're willingly buying off of car lots. So, next chart. So the converged battlefield this year. I just told you a whole bunch of things. You see these countries up here at the top. Guess what? They've been, moving from just theft of intellectual property to then doing, very recently with Colonial Pipeline and some other attacks that we've had in the past few years. They have demonstrated the ability to manipulate supply chains and possibly pull the rug out from under data centers, cloud hosted services and stuff like that anywhere and everywhere. This is pretty scary stuff. And you can see these evolving trends over here on the right-hand side. I won't read them, but the key thing is that with the use of AI, it's scary that they will be able to do these things with all sorts of enhanced complexity and speed. Next chart. So hopefully I have you a little scared, not so scared. I mean, it's not that bad, but the thing is this is the world. You know, I told you, you saw my introduction chart. You know, I'm in my late 50s, right? I started like you, but now it's time to pass the baton. It's about time to help the next generation understand the complexity and the security environment that they live in, and help them appreciate that their interest in cybersecurity and cyber operations are important potential factors in enhancing the security of their day-to-day lives and the security of this country. And this stuff is moving very quickly, as we just talked about. So we really need something that helps bridge between the operational problems of today and what you are learning today in your educational program. And Viceroy, what you have heard of, you are now part of, and you have had some great predecessors at Washington State University participate in, is a program that's going to help you really make the most of your career by keeping pace with what's going on in the world. So I don't think I really need to say an awful lot more on this chart here, except to say that this is a recognized need at the national level, at the level of Department of Defense as well, and also in several of the past White Houses. Next chart. And this is a national problem. As you saw in the video, I mentioned that there were, at any given time, there's about 20,000 open positions in the Department of Defense. There is a gap of anywhere from 100,000 to 100,000 in the Department Defense Innovation Industrial Base, and 400,000 in U.S. industry in general. So there's a huge demand. Our talent supply is not as large as it's been. We have a diminishing population, less entrance into the workforce. So it's our goal to engage you where you are, either late in high school or early in college, to help you understand how you can do some things and take your talents and enhance your national security over the course of your career. Next chart. So this is Viceroy. As I've said here in the red box, this is the gap right now. We need mission-capable ROTC and civilian graduates to solve future cyber and electromagnetic spectrum security challenges. So the way that we do that is that the great people at Washington State University that you have as instructors and faculty, they are helping you build the foundational skills. But through Viceroy, they're helping align those foundational skills through research, experiential learning, the clubs, competitions, to help you understand how to apply it. And then by coupling you with an internship through our organization, we're helping you put those skills into a practical use. And I will just tell you that you are part of an amazing pathway through Washington State University. Early on, Washington State University had some of the most engaged students, the largest number going into internships, and they are regularly and consistently at the top of our competitions. They won the Gilded Guardian competition, so they've actually this year, so they've won our national cyber competition 2 years in a row. And last year, we've demonstrated that winning the competition wasn't just like a CTF, but it was a practical use of their skills by connecting them and involving them in a Canadian Forces National Defense exercise last May, and they did very, very well there. So you are part of a tradition. You are part of a proven pathway of success, and I look very forward to seeing great things from all of you too. So as you sit here in this room, you saw the video. It's pretty exciting, right? But you're part of 46 other institutions. and that's great. You have a large national network, and there's
CJ, you're on mute. CJ, you're still on mute.
No, I think CJ got disconnected. I think we'll still hear you. Oh, he's still here. Okay,
He's there. He's just on mute.
sure.
CJ, can you hear us?
I'm not on mute.
Not
Can anyone
anymore.
hear me?
We hear you now.
Okay, something muted me. I did not mute anything, just to let you all know. Okay, let me continue on. We have 28 different internship sites. Students, they pursue projects while they're in school that are related to national security and DoD national security challenges. Many of them get published in peer-reviewed journals, and that's great. We're very proud of that. It's a great measure of merit. Next chart, please. This is the Viceroy model. I won't go into details about it because I've already pretty much talked about it, but for you students, there is a rubric that basically says, hey, when you join Viceroy, if you achieve certain things in terms of experiential learning and operational application, you check these things off in our learning management system, you get credit for them, and you get a completion award at the end of your journey. Plus, you also have the ability to apply for internships within the federal government. And we pair those things with the SMART Scholarship and the CSA Scholarship as well. Next chart. I talked a little bit about competitions. The key difference between the competitions that we have in Viceroy and CTFs is CTFs are great for building skills, getting familiar with the use of tools, and you get awarded points. What we do with our events is we are pivoting towards something that is designed around mission. In other words, you are given a somewhat very specific mission that you have to accomplish, but it's open-ended in terms of how you apply, you and your team, your skills to achieve those things. And you have to learn how to communicate, lead and follow, plan, brief, execute, and debrief. That's how a real team works in business. It's how a real team works in government. It's how you complete a mission. And this makes you mission capable. What we're going to be doing also in Viceroy is when you complete your skills challenges next year, you will be given some feedback on which desired or intended skills you and your team were able to achieve as being part of that skills building challenge. For students that complete enough of them, they will be qualified to apply for and compete in the next year's competition. It probably won't be called Gilded Guardian, it'll be called something else, but it'll be something that leverages all the skills that you've developed over the course of the year. Next chart, please. So these are some of our students that went on internships last year. This is a C-130. These students were doing some work. And I think this airplane here might have been one that either did electronic warfare work. I also know that we had some students that were working on C-130 that was a hurricane hunter. Now, they didn't go into a hurricane, but they did some very special things on the plane that helped the plane's mission success. Let's go to the next chart. We had nearly an all ROTC group that of 25 or 28 that worked at the Army Research Lab last summer. They built a cloud-based infrastructure that was then deployed by them for 3 weeks at Virginia Beach in Virginia. And that infrastructure was used to do some red-blue critical infrastructure testing by the local utility companies, as well as several countries who participated in the event. It helped facilitate a DARPA experiment on how to automate defense. The Army National Guard Adjutant General who ran the event said, we could not have run the event without these Viceroy scholars and their support. Next chart. We also have students out in Hawaii. We had 3 Viceroy Maven powered by P3I students who were working with the Hawaii National Guard who needed a situation awareness display for the Joint Operations Center. Joint Operations Center tried to work with some companies to help make that happen, and the companies just couldn't deliver the capability needed. We sent them 3 Viceroy scholars. In 7 weeks, they built a prototype that the Hawaii National Guard says, yeah, this is exactly what we wanted. The scholars actually listened to what we wanted. They prototyped something quickly. We want to maintain this. We'd love to have some students come back again and even add some additional features to it. So the bottom line is, with these 3 charts, is that our students through this program are prepared to do meaningful things that are needed for national security. We give you those skills. All we need is your passion and motivation. And as I said right at the very beginning of the sets of charts, that is what we're hoping to help you find in the program. Next chart. You can hear me say this, right? But we've had some host sites. We've had some quotes from some of our host sites as well. The 350th Spectrum Warfare Wing, Army Research Laboratory, Air Combat Command, and even a student like yourself who was first an intern, and she was hired by the Air Force Research Laboratory doing cybersecurity for them. So real things, the students are doing great things, and our host sites themselves, mission partners, attest to that. Next chart. Where do our students go? A lot more than half of them end up in either the Department of Defense, the Defense Industrial Base, or federal and state roles. And even those that don't, that end up in the private sector, we have some use cases where 3 or 4 of them started their own companies or were educational career changers that moved from, say, biotech to cybersecurity. So this has been absolutely amazing experience for them and helping them find something that they're excited about. Next chart. So Viceroy is not doing this all on its own. In fact, I dare to say the only way that we do this is with a team. And so you heard a moment ago, Ms. Manor Siddiqui, she's on my team. Ms. Pam Musty, she's on my team. The Griffith Institute is on my team, and they're usually the face that you first meet when we do internships. All the educational partners, such as the faculty and staff at Washington State University, they are on my team. I cannot do this. They all do it. All we do is we agree about how we're going to make the most of federal programs and DoD programs that are already out there, such as the ones that you see here. We all play a role, right? I play a role in talking with you and helping to share my experiences. Your educators play a role in being subject matter expertise. Your fellow research mentors at your schools, they're helping show how to apply your skills. The internship host sites, they're the ones that are showing you how to apply it towards solving real world problems. So it doesn't matter where we sit. In order to help ensure that our talent is mission ready, we need to start working. We need to work together at very early stages, communicating the value of what we're doing. And as this thing here says, right, our mission is to ensure that talent such as you is ready and integrated even before the fight begins. Next chart. So in summary, I think this is probably close to my last chart. It's, you know, we've been talking about the increasing role of cyber and spectrum technologies, the role of AI in helping speed things up and reducing complexity. But in the end, none of that stuff is going to go anywhere unless we have people who have vision and are excited about solving national security challenges for our country. And you're not the first, and you won't be the last to have facing a defining challenge, right? We had the Cuban Missile Crisis. We had the greatest generation of, they call it, from World War II. We had the nuclear age. We're going to have time and time again, as Billy Joel said, right? We didn't start the fire. So for us, this is our defining challenge right now, is understanding how we can have better awareness of cyber and spectrum, and helping defend our American way of life and our Constitution. But also, you know, if we want to be a little bit more parochial about things, right? Just about having our own lives be safe and secure. Okay, that's even good enough. And I just want to give you an appreciation to the slides we had here today that national security challenges touches you wherever you are. The adversary is moving fast, the technology is moving fast, talent such as yourself is our greatest advantage. Next chart. You want to learn more about Viceroy? Thank you, by the way, for listening here. Why don't we go to the next chart? We're on all sorts of social media. Sometimes I'm a little scared how much stuff I see that we're putting out there. It's a big moving machine. www.viceroyscholars.org, I think is what it says here. So want you to get to know the resources that we have. If you like the video that you just saw, we have some trailers. We also have the full 7-minute one there. It's available on the site. We also have a lot of other things going on monthly. We have a seminar series where we talk about latest technical gaps within the department. We have people who talk about stories of service. We have others that come and speak about how to develop a personal brand, how to communicate effectively online, and really that brand online is how everybody else sees you, so you better get it right. So lots of value in participating as a Viceroy scholar. So with that, I think that was my last slide. So what I'd like to do is I've got about maybe 10 minutes or a little bit less. I'd be happy to take a few questions from the crowd. One of the things that we teach all of our Viceroy scholars is that whenever you're listening to a talk, always be actively engaged and be thinking about that one question you could ask if nobody else asks a question. So hopefully you got that message today. And I'm just talking a little bit more here just to give you all a chance maybe to walk up over to the microphone and be willing to take a question or two. And I just want to say thank you very much for your time and interest in Viceroy and in improving your understanding of your career choices.
Thank you very much, CJ. That was awesome. I think I'll let them clap and then they will ask it.
Thank you.
So just so you know, we've got tables around the room and it's set up for activities, and there will be poster session in the afternoon. So that's how the setup is here. And you were loud and clear and connection was not a problem at all. So I'm going to let students ask questions and I will maybe come back to say a few things about your great keynote. Questions? There we go. And we've got a mobile speaker, CJ, and it has a WSU logo on it, just so you know.
Hello. Okay. Hi. Thanks for your time. My name is Brady, and I'm going to be a Maven assistant up in Rome this summer. And I just wanted to ask, like, for someone going through a Viceroy program or internship like that, what are some key takeaways, and what does a successful transition look like post-grad into the work that Viceroy sets you up for? Well, thank you, Brady. I appreciate the question. So as a Viceroy Maven, one of the things that we try to accomplish with that program is we're trying to find people who are interested, such as yourself, but maybe don't have enough coursework under your belt yet, right, where you can successfully get an internship. So we accelerate your cyber and spectrum skills. We help you with communication, leadership, followership, how to think a little bit more critically, forming a hypothesis, doing some research, analyzing and presenting your results, and sometimes presenting your results as an elevator speech. That's what we do in Maven. We believe that, it's these soft skills, right, that complement the technical ones, which are the big needle movers, the things that really make our students successful. If you do any research on your own and do a Google on it, you're gonna find that employers believe that those soft skills are probably more impactful than the technical ones. And as I was saying in my briefing, it's the passion that you have and engagement that you have that's going to move mountains in your life. I can pretty much teach you anything. I can't teach you motivation. I can't teach you to care. But those are the things that are going to keep you fighting. And as they also say too, right? It's tough to beat somebody who never gives up. Anybody ever hear that one? I want all of you in your careers and your lives never to give up for whatever it is you believe in, right? But that's what's going to make you successful. As far as the job's concerned, so we've had some examples of Viceroy scholars, even in this harsh work environment that we suffered through last year, that employers are starting to hire again, and they're taking advantage of pathway programs such as Palace Acquire and Palace Knight. If you're not familiar with them, do some Googling on those, where and ask your employer who you intern with if they have any programs like that that involve you as an intern for perhaps up to 2 years, and then you have like a 2-year service commitment after that that leads to a job offer because the slot has already been identified. So those are just some things to think about, Brady, going forward.
Thank you, CJ. Anybody has other questions? We've got a couple hands there.
It's funny seeing a bucket, something that looks like a bucket being passed around. It's almost like
That's our speaker. It's a fancy one.
Yeah. Hi. All right. Or maybe there's gummy worms in it or something. I don't know. It feels like that.
Hi, I'm Mitchell. I'm just curious with the increase in interest in cybersecurity, will Viceroy plan on like creating even more openings next summer for Maven and Envoy positions? Are there any plans for that to expand?
Mitchell, I wasn't able to hear part of what you were asking about. You're saying, I think you were asking if Viceroy, Maven, and Envoy were going to expand in a particular way. I didn't quite hear
Yeah,
what the
will there
wavelength
be?
you were asking.
Yeah, sorry. Will there be more like openings, do you think, like in the following years as the interest increases?
That is our hope. In fact, so we've had 800 applicants this year for 250 positions. Now, that doesn't sound like much, except we had 150 positions the year before and maybe about 90 the year before. So every year we've been increasing by anywhere from 50 to 90% our internships positions. So we realize that is the key value proposition that we bring to the students in helping to get them the skills they need, and also attracting them into Viceroy to begin with. And we're finding that we're getting a lot of value out of it too, to be quite honest with you. We in the research and engineering enterprise have realized that there's some problems that students can solve that go far beyond what we would normally pay an intern, but maybe what we would pay maybe a mid-career level person that's in cybersecurity. So we expect to see this grow over time. So the answer is yes, we should see this more accessible to you. Over.
That is great news. Thank you for your time.
You can pass it on the next. Yeah, go ahead.
Hello. My name is Ryan, and my question is about the compensation in the public sector versus the private, because I know that that's maybe a point of concern for highly skilled individuals who have multiple job opportunities, and one in the private sector may be much more lucrative. So what sort of objective value would you say that, for example, the Department of Defense could provide to an individual like that who's weighing multiple offers?
Brian, thank you so much for asking that question. It was a question I asked myself 40 years ago when I took my first internship at the Air Force Research Laboratory in Rome, New York. And I'm going to tell you, there's a lot of reason why you should be going with the federal government or the defense industrial base that serves the federal government. First of all, in private industry, just in general, right, unless there's a financial benefit to the pursuit of some goal, industry will not pursue that goal. There's some things that are exciting, novel, new, difficult, that government investment is required to make that happen and for those things to come to fruition. And this is the role of the Department of Defense, War, Department of Homeland Security, or federal government in general, the NSF, all of these. We many times we are the reasons that companies are overnight successes is because 20 years ago, we made an investment that bought down a risk that allowed a company to build a solution. So it all starts, I shouldn't say it all starts, but many times it starts with the federal government. So that's number one. Number two, with the federal government, you're the one hiring the contractors many times, and you're driving the agenda, you're driving what success looks like. You have the clearance, so we say in many ways you are fully informed of the world. You understand the classified reasons of what we do, more so than, you know, like I was telling you, I was working on some antenna element. They didn't have a clearance at the time. That's probably why they didn't tell me. So I lost out on getting excited about something because I was not in the position of knowledge and power. That's another reason, right? And I'm going to tell you one other thing too. I'll keep it short here because I could go on forever about this, literally. I've done everything I wanted to do in my career. Many times when you're hired by industry, you're hired to do a specific thing. And to the extent that what you want to do and what they want you to do are aligned, your relationship is there until you part. And that might only be a few years. And for some of you, that's okay too, right? You know, you want a, you know, a gig kind of thing and you move on to something else. But I've had a series of gigs over 37 years working for the research enterprise of the department. So I've been a bench scientist, I've been a project lead, I've been a program manager, I've been a group leader, I've been a branch chief, I've been a lab leader, I've been a portfolio lead for the entire Air Force on cybersecurity. I've been a Department of War lead on a cybersecurity S&T portfolio for a number of years. I've went to pretty much every interesting place you guys would want to go, like the NSA, the CIA, the farm, right? I've been on ships, I've been in Humvees. In fact, I had a Humvee license. I've been on Black Hawk helicopters. I've done everything I could have wanted to do. If I wanted to have gone to Area 51, I haven't been there. Okay, haven't seen the aliens. But if I had wanted to go there, I could have went there. If I wanted to go to Australia, I could have went there. Okay, not a big flyer, but right. So the sky's the limit of what you can do working for the federal government, and you can help forge what that next gig is. You can help shape your leaders as the subject matter expert about what you should be doing next. If you can sell them on it, often you can. They're all too happy to have new ideas. You're going to be doing it. That's the reason you should be working for us.
And then I have a quick follow-up question, if that's okay. So my question is, because you mentioned that you get information, you know, quicker about the world than perhaps other industries. Would you say that that frequently applies to investment opportunities, like in stocks and stuff, that you're able to find out what's going to be, you know, increasing in price, or you know, in that sense?
Not really. Not the way I think you intend the question to be phrased. No. Like, for example, I'll just speak very, very candidly with all of you. And these are CJ's opinions, by the way, not those views of the official views of the department, right? Okay. So I've seen AI and cloud computing accelerate over the last 10 years or so. Back in 2013, I'm like, you know, gosh, GPUs. Gosh, everybody's into GPUs. I can see which way this is going, and not because I had any insider information. It's just that because I was leading the technical edge on a lot of things, I was thinking, oh, you know, maybe I should be investing in NVIDIA. I did. I made nothing. Why? I was before my time. So the thing is I was in it and I sold out, and we didn't do business with NVIDIA. It's just that you understood what was going on in the technical environment. Had I hung on another 2 years, I would be sitting in a much bigger boat right now than I am right now. The thing is that you do get to have some insight, but that's really why I got to be honest with you. Nobody's here really to make a buck. I know it sounds trite, it sounds, you know, cliche, but the thing is that I'll tell you, the reason that we're here is because we're excited about doing what we do and making a difference in securing our world. And I can't think of a better example. That was last fall when we had the government shutdown. Okay, I wasn't getting paid for like 6 weeks or something like that. I was kind of disappointed that they sent me home. I still wanted to do my work. I didn't want to fall behind. All of you meant something to me. I wanted to see Viceroy here succeed. All right. Finally, when they let me come back to work 3 weeks later, and I was working 3 weeks and 4 weeks not getting paid, I was still excited. That's how I knew I was doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Hopefully you find that in life as well. Over.
Yeah. Thank you, CJ, very
Thank you.
much. I think I'm going to stop questions here and respect Mr. Meshach's time as well. You have done a lot of good things for us, CJ, today, and your answer to the last question about working for the government would be a very nice transition for what's going to happen afterwards, but because I'll be talking about scholarship and fellowship opportunities, including CSA and the Smart Operation and the Cyber Corps SFS program we have here. And there are very many things that I would bring up again there when we compare working for government and the privilege that it is, and the thing that has motivated us to be in this, and I'm sure for most of you. There was a lot of good things in your keynote, CJ, that also sets for the topics that we will be covering. AI came up. It is a big topic for us, cyber physical systems. You brought up many things, including the field trips that we will go and do in Moscow, Idaho, with this Schweizinger Engineering Laboratories new facility for printed circuit boards, which they are interested in for having their power facilities. And all of these things being connected has come through your presentation very clearly and set the tone for us for the remainder of this week. I'm very grateful. Thank you for doing this for us. You have always been a big supporter of WSU. I should also tell you, we've got 3 Montana State University students who are part of CySER program who have drove all the way from Bozeman to Pullman here and will be with us the rest of the week. 2 of them are also ROTC students. And so in many, many ways, what you've done today would be a great thing for us to energize and put us forward with what we have in the agenda for the week. Thank you also for those who join online and show your support. We appreciate that very much. I will let you go and we will take a quick break and then I will continue with my presentation on scholarship opportunities. Thank you, CJ, again.
Hope you have a great week. Take care, folks.
If you guys need to